Okay, today I want to talk about saving food for later. That idea that if you're really good during the day and you hold off on the things you actually want, then you can enjoy them later in the day. People that think that way have an idea in their head of what they're allowed to eat, lots of rules and lots of balancing out what they're going to eat so that they can fit in what the things that they really want earlier in the day. People that do that are undernourished. People that do that are hungry. They're depriving themselves of the things that they actually want when they want them. Now, people will say to me, but Becky, I actually don't want those things earlier in the day. And that's because you conditioned yourself to not want those things earlier in the day. Because why? Because for so long, those haven't even been an option. So you've just stopped thinking that chocolate's an option or something that's available to you, when you wake up in the morning, or to have dessert after lunch or before lunch. Those are just things that, because it's so distant from you ever doing, that you just don't think about it. So when you start asking yourself, if there are no rules and I can actually eat these things whenever I want, does ice cream actually sound good right now? And if you ask yourself that question right now, be honest with your answer. And if it does, then go get ice cream. Or does pizza sound good right now? I mean, it is 10 a.m. in the morning. Does pizza sound good? Pizza does sound good. I'm gonna get pizza, right? I mean, it seems so simple, but that's what you need to do when you catch yourself like only eating these things in the evenings. You're gonna have to force it. You're gonna have to like really actively, intentionally eat those things earlier in the day so that in the future and when you are fully recovered, you have the freedom and the flexibility to eat things when you want in the quantities that you want whenever you want, right? If you want leftovers for breakfast, you can do that. If you're in recovery saying, I never want leftovers for breakfast, ask yourself why. It's probably because you've told yourself you can't. So now start doing that. An analogy I was just speaking with a client about, and it's just a good one that I want to share. If you're a mom, you'll understand this. And if you're not, then this is how babies operate and sleep, is if you wait until your baby's really, really tired to put them down for a nap, they're likely not going to fall asleep. And then if you try to get them to skip a nap during the day, thinking, oh, then I can put them down earlier in the night, then they'll go to sleep earlier and sleep longer, it's usually the opposite. You know what happens? They stay up even later and it's even harder for them to fall asleep. Where am I getting with this? This is the same thing when you decide to restrict or you decide to hold off and wait till later. It's the same thing as trying to get a baby to sleep. Good luck. You restricting earlier in the day is going to lead to more restriction later. Instead of what you would think logically, well, if I restrict earlier in the day, then that means I get to really enjoy all these challenging things. Oftentimes, though, what will happen is somebody will be like, well, I do actually let myself save up and eat all of those night foods. I do actually eat all of those things. Then what happens is you get stuck in this cycle, right, of waking up, restricting, eating a ton, going to bed full, waking up not hungry, restricting. So you have to break that cycle. You have to force yourself. And this is like when a baby's happy, you have to lay them down. When you don't feel hungry and you don't think you're craving that thing, you have to eat it anyways to get yourself into a good eating schedule, to get yourself regularly eating throughout the day. So I just thought of that with this client, and she agreed that, yes, this is exactly the same thing as restricting during the day, saving up your calories, saving up those treats for later in the day. It doesn't work, and it only makes waking up and eating right away that much harder. So if you've had experience with this and you're like, yes, I totally am stuck in that cycle right now, awesome, commit to changing it. And if you've had experience with this and you have changed it and you're like, yeah, I did. I had to force a lot earlier in the day, even though I didn't want it. I didn't feel hungry for it because I ate so much so late at night. I woke up and still ate a lot. And then I noticed that throughout the day, as I kept eating, I felt less tempted to then restrict or be weird about food. I felt a little bit more freed up mentally to be able to eat what I wanted. And then you will likely, this is so important, you will likely still eat a lot at night when you start doing this and forcing more food in during the day. You're still going to have those evenings where you're like, what's wrong with me? I'm still pulled to the kitchen all night long. I still want to eat all those foods. First, I challenge you to switch what you're eating, because if you're eating all of your safe foods in a perfect order at the same time every night, and that is your lifeline, that is what you're living for every day, stop eating those foods, eat different foods. Don't eat less, eat way more, but stop with all the safe foods. Stop with all the compulsive things you're doing with food at night. Completely change that routine to, okay, now at night I order a large pizza, I have a huge milkshake, and then I have a brownie, things you're not used to eating, whatever that is, do that. And that'll be like that for a while. So just because you're eating more during the day doesn't mean that you suddenly, the very first day you do that, now aren't eating everything that you want to at night. The mistake people make is they do eat all that during the day, and then night comes and they're like, well, crap, now I can't eat what I want. See, this is why I don't eat during the day, because now I feel like I can't eat what I wanted to tonight. Well, if you behave that way and you react to that like that, you're not doing recovery, because recovery is eating as much as you want whenever you want. So you eat all that during the day, you force that in, and then you allow yourself, knowing that you get to eat all of that food, whatever it is, the challenging things that you're working on facing, these fears. You eat those in as much as you want, regardless of how much you ate earlier in the day. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I can't say this enough, how common of a cycle this is for people that get stuck in recovery and can't figure out where are they going wrong? Why can't they get over this restriction during the day? And that's why. Eat as much as you can during the day. Force yourself. I don't care if you feel hungry. It doesn't matter if you're like, well, I know, but like, you know, I'm busy and so I just don't have time. So nights when I get that time. Well, if you're busy, then eat on the go. Eat in the car. Make it fast, more convenient. Food doesn't have to be this big ceremony where at night nobody's around, all the kids are in bed, you've got your homework done if you're in school, there's no distractions at all, and then you can enjoy your food. That's another reason why people save food for later. Food doesn't need to be on a pedestal. You can just eat throughout the day, move on with your life. Eat more at night, wake up, eat again. Sounds so simple, right? Anyways, hopefully this message was clear. I feel like I made it, hopefully this is very, very clear, my message here. Eat a lot during the day, still eat at night. Eventually that night eating goes away, but it takes a long time and a lot of consistency. All right, have a good day.